Let's get into our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you guys have a question for the show and you'd like to hear your sultry voice on our show, go ahead and call the hotline number anytime at 951-268-4259. Call it on up, leave your voice message, and maybe you'll hear it on the show. So, Jonathan, what is our hotline question today?
Hey, John and crew. It's Brandon from Central Valley. Just saw pictures from the Acolyte set. They say they're going to use the volume technology and large set. What are your guys' thoughts? Thanks.
All right, Brandon, thanks a lot for sending that in. And, you know, going back a couple of years now to that big Disney Investor Day call that was bigger than any Comic-Con or anything like that as far as dropping bombs. I mean, they just unloaded at that thing. It was incredible. But with all of the Star Wars announcements, none of them excited me quite as much as the Acolyte. The idea of looking at it from the dark side and just the concept of it, I thought was fabulous. Now, that was years ago, and we're only now starting to get the ball rolling. And we're going to be talking about the Acolyte and some of its casting a little bit later as well. But one of the really interesting things is, as we've seen the evolution of Disney Plus, we saw them coming out of the gate with The Mandalorian with really leaning into the volume. Like, practically the whole show was shot on the volume, right? All that kind of stuff. And then, you know, as we got into Book of Boba Fett and some other things, the audience started going, well, does it always have to be the volume? Like, does everything have to be a giant barren dune of sand in the background and a sunset? Is that what it always has to be? Then we saw things like House of the Dragon utilize practical sets, but use some of the volume and use it real well.
Yeah.
Then we saw Disney Plus kind of slingshot all the way to the other extreme, where you have probably the best Star Wars show of all time in Andor right now, where they don't use the volume at all. This all practical sets. And now we're hearing about the Acolyte, and it sounds like they are finding the really nice middle ground on this. Now, I don't know if you've got the link there, Jonathan, but yes, some pictures came out of the set from the Acolyte, and they have been building physical sets. And they're actually, you can see in the pictures that they're actually fully constructed. Everything from, like, it looks like building fronts and some city hallways and, you know, walkways and stuff like that. Yeah, there we go. And actually, it looks a little bit like one of my Dungeons and Dragons maps. But so they're actually in the process of building actual physical sets. And to utilize, you know, the answer isn't all volume or no volume. If you really want to use your technology well, do a little bit of mix of both. And it sounds like this is the approach they're taking. I get excited when I see these sorts of sets being put up. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. What do you take away from it?
Well, you know, like any technology for filmmaking, it's how you use it. You know, one of the things we saw in House of the Dragon was in the final episode, the 10th episode, there was that great behind-the-scenes piece about when they go to Storm's End. And you see that the building, the throne room set, the throne was actually where Baratheon was sitting was a real throne. But then in the background, the walls of that throne room set were all volume LED screens. And rather than doing green screen set extensions, it's all in camera and live, which cuts down on your post cost and things like that. I mean, the volume stages are expensive. But I thought what was really interesting about that is it's the way the tools are used. If it becomes a crutch, I feel that it became a crutch, especially shooting at Manhattan Beach Studios. It's not like they were going on location anywhere. Whereas Game of Thrones and Andor, because they're shooting them in Europe, there's more opportunity to utilize actual practical locations. And I think that for something like Star Wars, it's always better if it's a mix. And they just have to figure out, it all comes in pre-production, how are you going to use these things? And I think that they've shown that Star Wars works better. It just looks better. Andor is a fantastic looking show. Oh, there's a dam over there. Let's go shoot on that dam. Yeah. And we can put a turbo laser in front of it, or, you know, make it. And that's the best way for, at least for Star Wars, because it originated. I mean, it looks great when it's on a set.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
And we all know there are certain things that it's just not practical to do practical, right?
Right.
You know that. But it's about finding that balance and finding that line. Chris, you hear about Acolyte. I mean, from what we heard, shooting actually started just a couple of days ago. They're building physical sets, but they're going to use the volume. Is this the right approach to them, or should they kind of lean more into the technology side?
Oh, no, I think this is great. Like you were saying, like you do what you could practically do. If you're doing a scene in space that maybe isn't super feasible to get everybody up there.
Unless you're Tom Cruise.
Yeah, then go for it, Tom. Get on board in the Star Wars universe. But this makes a lot of sense to me. All you have to do, honestly, is look at Galaxy's Edge. That is such an immersive experience at Disneyland that you feel like you're on another planet. And to be able to create that in a theme park setting, you can absolutely do that on a movie set, right? So using those volume stages, like Rob's point there, like they did on House of the Dragon, they did that beautifully. They used the space well. It still had depth and everything. You didn't feel like you were closed in and on a weird set like Obi-Wan and Kenobi kind of did sometimes. But the more you can have these practical environments, the more we're going to buy into it. And your performers are going to buy into it too. It's like a good D&D campaign, right? If you cannot immerse yourself into that environment and story, you're not buying into the narrative. And so all of your players need to buy into that narrative so your audience does too.
And I remember one of the things that Ewan McGregor said in talking about the Obi-Wan series is that, like, when they were standing actually in a physical set, he talked about the fact that you're able to get more out of yourself as an actor when you can actually see and feel. So absolutely the volume, green screen, 100% when that's what's needed. Yes. But otherwise, you get some real big benefits from going physical. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this? It sounds like the Acolyte and maybe the Disney Plus shows overall are going to learning how to kind of balance using the volume instead of just 100% leaning on them like they have in some shows. What do you think about that approach? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. And now for the plot twist. I'm just kidding. There isn't one. Mint Mobile just has premium wireless from $15 a month. There's no trapping you into a 2-year contract or opening the bill to find all these crazy fees. There's no luring you in with free subscriptions to streaming services that you'll forget to cancel and be charged full price for. With my old wireless provider, every month when I opened the bill, it was like playing roulette. I never knew how big the bill was going to be, and it always seemed to get bigger. With Mint Mobile, it's totally different. I know exactly how little I'm paying every month, and there's never any surprises. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or a family. And at Mint Mobile, families start at just 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And guys, you get to use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. So transferring over couldn't be easier. So to get premium wireless from just $15 a month and no unexpected plot twists, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. You'll make your wallet very happy at mintmobile.com/Campea.